हेलो फ्रेंड्स, नमस्कार, आदाब, सत श्री अकाल, जय हिंद। मैं आपका अपना अमृत राजलवाल हाजिर हूं फिर से एक नए वीडियो के साथ आपके अपने चैनल राजलवाल एकेडमी पर। दोस्तों, हमारे इस चैनल के माध्यम से हम एग्रीकल्चरल एजुकेशन से जुड़े हुए वीडियोस आप तक लेकर आते हैं। फ्रेंड्स, हमारे पिछले वीडियो में हमने आपको बताया इसेंशियल न्यूट्रिएंट्स, मिनरल न्यूट्रिशन इन प्लांट्स के बारे में, जिसमें हमने आपको बताया क्या न्यूट्रिएंट्स की क्या डेफिनेशन होती है, इसेंशियल न्यूट्रिएंट्स कौन कौन से होते हैं, इन न्यूट्रिएंट्स की कितनी कितनी मात्रा प्लांट टिश्यूज में अवेलेबल होती है और प्लांट्स इन टिश्यूज को किन किन फॉर्म्स के अंदर जो है एक्वायर करते हैं। तो दोस्तों, आज इसी सीरीज में हम जो हमारी सॉइल के अंदर जो मैक्रो न्यूट्रिएंट्स पाए जाते हैं उनके क्या फंक्शंस होते हैं और इनके क्या क्या डेफिशिएंसी सिम्टम्स होते हैं उनके बारे में डिस्कशन करेंगे। तो आज के वीडियो में फ्रेंड्स वी विल डिस्कस अबाउट द फंक्शंस एंड डेफिशिएंसी सिम्टम्स ऑफ प्राइमरी न्यूट्रिएंट, दैट इज नाइट्रोजन, फॉस्फोरस एंड पोटेशियम। तो फ्रेंड्स स्टार्ट करते हैं हमारी क्लास को। सो फ्रेंड्स, टुडे वी विल डिस्कस अबाउट द फंक्शंस एंड द डेफिशिएंसी सिम्टम्स ऑफ नाइट्रोजन, phosphorus and potassium. So let us start with the nitrogen. And nitrogen is an important element for the plants. So the plants absorb the nitrogen either as the nitrate ions, or some plants like the rice, pineapple, etc. they absorb the nitrogen as the ammonical ions. And the nitrogen content in the plant tissues ranges from 1 to 5%. The nitrate and ammonical ions move to the plant roots by both mass flow and the diffusion processes. Means friends, जो nitrogen है that is absorbed by the plants either as the nitrate ions or as the ammonical ions, and the nitrogen content in the plant tissues ranges from the 1 to 5%. Further, these nitrate ions and ammonical ions they move in the plant roots from the soil solution by both the mass flow and the diffusion processes. So this was little introduction. Now we will discuss about the functions of the nitrogen into the plants. So the nitrogen is an essential component of amino acids, proteins, pyrimidines, enzymes, coenzymes and alkaloids. Means nitrogen is essential part of the amino acids, and these amino acids further converts into protein, pyrimidines, enzymes, coenzymes and alkaloids. Further, essential parts of the nitrogen is the essential part of the chlorophyll, and which converts the atmospheric carbon dioxide into the carbohydrate. Means being a part of chlorophyll, the nitrogen helps in the conversion of atmospheric carbon dioxide into the carbohydrate. Further, as a part of the nucleic acid, nitrogen is essential component of the DNA and RNA. These both are the essential part of the nucleic acid, and thus nitrogen is the responsible for the transfer of genetic codes into the plants. यानी कि from one progeny to another progeny they transfer the genetic codes, being a part of the DNA and RNA. Further, nitrogen improves the quality of leafy vegetables and the fodders, and the nitrogen improves the glutamic acid, proline, phenylamine, cysteine, methionine and tyrosine, which further improves the protein quality of the food grains. So friends, this was the function of nitrogen. Now we will discuss about the deficiency symptoms of the nitrogen. So friends, as we discussed that nitrogen is mobile into the plants, so the deficiency symptoms of the plants will first occur on the older leaves. As I said that nitrogen is mobile into the plants, and therefore the deficiency symptoms of nitrogen will appear first on the older leaves. Older leaves मतलब lower leaves, like this is the plant, so first nitrogen deficiency symptoms will occur on this lower leaves. When the nitrogen concentration falls below the 1%. As I told you that nitrogen percent into the plant tissue ranges from 1 to 5%. So when the concentration of nitrogen falls below 1%, the older leaves become light green to pale yellow. This is the foremost symptom, and the crops, they are very responsible to the nitrogen. If you are not applying the nitrogen nutrient into your soil, you will see that your whole field becomes slowly pale yellow to light green color, and this is the symptoms of the nitrogen deficiency. If there is not any kind of disease or any kind of pest incidence in your field, and your field is showing light green color to pale yellow color, it means there is the nitrogen deficiency. So nitrogen concentration, when it is below the 1%, the older leaves will become light green to pale yellow color. In case of severe deficiency, when the deficiency is increasing and the nitrogen concentration is going down, further going down, then in case of severe deficiency, it lead to the necrosis and convert into the complete crop failure. Means your crop can be failure if continuously nitrogen deficiency is there. If you are not correcting the nitrogen deficiency at the right time, your crop can be failure. Due to the lower protein synthesis, when nitrogen, as I told in the functions, nitrogen is essential parts of the amino acids and it will help into the protein synthesis. So when nitrogen is deficient, in that case there will be lower protein synthesis, and due to the lower protein synthesis in nitrogen deficient plant, it result into the stunted plant growth. The plant growth will be stunted, reduced plant growth, and the plant root growth is faster than shoot growth under the nitrogen deficiency, and this intensive root growth is known as the forage response to the starvation. Means when a soil is nitrogen deficient, the root will move faster, they will grow in a faster way as compared to the shoot, and this is known as the forage response to the nitrogen starvation. Now easily how you can identify the nitrogen deficiency. So there are 4-5 points I have mentioned that how you will identify the nitrogen deficiency. The first one is the yellow lower leaves and pale green coloration of the younger leaves. Vertical purple strips on the plant stems, means you will see some, like this is your plant stem, so you will see here some vertical purple strips. So if you are seeing the purple vertical strips, it means there is the nitrogen deficiency. Then reduced flowering and the fruiting and flowering will be reduced. Vegetation burst into the forced flowering. In case of the nitrogen deficiency, the vegetation will, early flowering will be there. Then leaf curls and shed. Your leaf will be curled and they will be shedded. And V pattern yellowing. In case of nitrogen, you will see the V pattern yellowing, means the deficiency will be start on the leaf tip, like you can see in this figure. Your nitrogen deficiency will be start from the leaf tip and it will goes to inside the leaf, like this will be, this pattern will be there. You will see some yellowing here. So V pattern of yellowing on the older leaves means yellowing start from the leaf tip and spread along the midrib. So these were the functions and deficiency symptoms of the nitrogen. Now we will discuss about the functions and deficiency symptoms of the phosphorus into the plant. The next essential and the primary nutrient is the phosphorus, and the phosphorus is less abundant in the soil and the plants as compared to the nitrogen and the potassium. Among the three primary nutrients, that is the nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. These are the three primary nutrients. Among them, nitrogen and potassium, they are found at par with each other, but phosphorus quantity in soil as well as the plant tissue is lesser than the nitrogen and potassium. Like you can see here, the total phosphorus content in surface soil ranges from 0.005% to 0.15%, whereas in case of plant tissue, it ranges from 0.1% to 0.4%. Now the plant absorb the phosphorus as the H2PO4 ions and the HPO4 ions. So this is the phosphorus, some introduction of the phosphorus. Now coming to the functions of the phosphorus. So the most essential function of the phosphorus is the energy storage and transfer of the energy. This is also, phosphorus is known as the energy storage and the transfer of the energy in the plants. And the phosphorus is essential part of the adenosine triphosphate and diphosphate, ATP and ADP, and they act as the energy currency in the plant, because during the plant metabolic activities they release the energy and store the energy. That's why the phosphorus is also known as the energy storage and transfer of the plants. The transfer of energy rich H2PO4 ions from the ATP to energy requiring substrate in the plants is known as the phosphorylation. Many times this question is asked in the examinations, that what do you mean by the phosphorylation? So phosphorylation is the transfer of energy rich H2PO4 molecules from ATP to energy requiring substrate is known as phosphorylation. The phosphorus is essential component of DNA and RNA. Like nitrogen, phosphorus is also essential component of the DNA and RNA, and that contain the genetic code of the plant to produce the protein and other compounds essential for the plant structure, seed yield and the genetic transfer. Means, being an essential part of DNA and RNA, the phosphorus plays a crucial role in plant structure, seed yield and the genetic transfer. The next function of the phosphorus is as a part of phosphoproteins, coenzymes and nucleotides. Phosphorus is essential for growth and development of the reproductive parts of the plants. Means, being a part of phosphoproteins and coenzymes and nucleotides, it plays a crucial role in development of the reproductive parts of the plants. The next function of phosphorus is the P enhances the crop maturity, particularly in grain crops. Means, phosphorus is very crucial for the maturity of the grain crops and reduces the time required for the grain ripening. And phosphorus increases the store strength in the cereals, nitrogen fixation in the legumes, disease resistant in the winter, disease resistant in the plants, and the winter damage to the small grains during the winter when the small grains are damaged. So if the phosphorus is sufficient into the soil, it reduces the winter damage of the small grains. Now the P is involved, phosphorus is involved in the photosynthesis, transfer of sugars and the starches, nutrient movement within the plants, stimulated root development, increase stalk and stem strength, and they improve the flower formation and the seed production. Means, along with the other functions of the phosphorus which we discussed earlier, phosphorus is also involved in the photosynthesis, transformation of sugars and starch, nutrient movement within the plants, stimulated root development, increase the stalk and the stem strength of the plants, and they improve the flower formation and the seed production of the plants. So friends, these are the functions of the phosphorus. Now we will discuss about the deficiency symptoms of the phosphorus in the plants. Now the deficiency symptoms of phosphorus we will discuss, and the deficiency symptoms because of the faster mobility of the phosphorus in plants, it easily translocate from the older leaves to younger leaves, and thus the deficiency symptoms occur on the older leaves. So, like the nitrogen, phosphorus is also mobile into the plants and it has the faster mobility. It fasterly moves from the older leaves to the younger leaves, and that's why the deficiency symptoms of the phosphorus will also occur on the older leaves like the nitrogen. Now the deficiency symptoms of the phosphorus includes overall stunting of the plant and darker green coloration of the lower leaves, and this darker green coloration of the lower leaves is due to high accumulation of the carbohydrates. When the phosphorus deficiency is there into the soil, the lower leaves of the plant will become dark green color, and this dark green color is due to high accumulation of the carbohydrates into the plants. Further, when the deficiency increase towards the severity, the severe plant phosphorus deficiency, the dark green color will change into the grayish green color to bluish green color with metallic luster. यानी कि this dark green color will change into the grayish green and further bluish green with the metallic luster. Now, purple leaf coloration. This is the most common identification of the phosphorus deficiency. The purple leaf coloration is the commonly associated with the phosphorus deficiency in the corn and other grasses. When you are growing the maize or the corn into the soil, and if your soil is deficient into the phosphorus, then the lower leaves of the corn will become purple in color, and this is the most identification of the phosphorus deficiency into the soil. The symptoms appear on the lower leaf tip and then progresses along the leaf margin until the entire leaf is purple. Means you can see here in the figure, the purple color will develop on the leaf tip and then it will goes like on the margins of the soil. I will also show you a photo of the phosphorus deficiency. So the phosphorus deficiency will start from the tip and it will go to the margins of the leaf, and slowly the whole leaf will become the purple. This purple color is due to the accumulation of sugars, and that enhances the synthesis of anthocyanin. So always keep in mind, it can be asked in the examinations that why the purple color is developed due to the phosphorus deficiency. So first was the reason is the purple color is accumulated due to the sugars. I already said that accumulation of carbohydrates, and that enhances the synthesis of the anthocyanin. Anthocyanin formation is there, and that's why the purple color is developed. The phosphorus deficiency is associated with the delayed seed development and the crop maturity. If your soil is deficient into the phosphorus, then it will delay the seed development into the plants and the crop maturity. The next deficiency symptom is the phosphorus deficiency causes thin, erect and spindle plant growth with the sparse and restricted foliage. Means the plant will be thin, erect and spindle plant hoga, and it will be the sparse and the restricted foliage, and the suppressed lateral bud development is also symptom of the phosphorus deficiency. So friends, these are the deficiency symptoms of the phosphorus. So the common identification of phosphorus deficiency is the purple leaf coloration, lower leaf coloration in the corn. Yeah. Now we will discuss about the functions and deficiency symptoms of the potassium. So the third primary nutrient is the potassium. So potassium is absorbed by the plants in larger amounts than any other element except the nitrogen. Means among all the nutrients, as I discussed earlier, potassium and nitrogen, they are found at par with each other. So potassium is absorbed by the plants in larger amounts than any other elements except the nitrogen. Now the potassium content in the surface soil ranges between the 0.5 to 2.5%, and among the plant tissues it ranges between the 1 to 5%. Now there is one unique feature is related with the potassium, and that is called the luxury consumption. This is asked into the examination, very different among the different examinations. This question is asked that luxury consumption is associated with which of the following nutrient element. So, and what is the luxury consumption? Potassium is unique element which can accumulate in plants in abundance without exhibiting any toxic symptoms, and this feature is known as the luxury consumption. Means the plant can absorb the potassium in larger quantity, but it does not exhibit any kind of deficiency symptom, and this feature is known as the luxury consumption. So luxury consumption is associated with the potassium, and the potassium is absorbed as the potassium ion by the plants. Now coming to the functions. This was the little introduction about the potassium. Now coming to the functions of the potassium element into the plants. So the potassium is involved in the plant metabolism and development, but it is not a structural component of the plant like the nitrogen and phosphorus, and that's why the luxury consumption is associated with the potassium, because it is involved in the plant metabolism and the development, but it is not the structural component of the plant like the nitrogen and phosphorus. And this potassium is present either into the solution or it is bound to the negative charges on the tissue surfaces. Now this potassium is involved in the water relationship. Water relations यानी कि opening and closing of the stomata. So it maintains the turgidity of the plant leaves, and it balances the charged, means if there is excess negative ions present into the solution, then potassium balance the charges of that particular plant tissue. Osmotic pressure is maintained by the potassium in cells and across the membranes. Means the potassium, it is involved in the water relationship, means opening and closing of the stomata, charge balance, osmotic pressure of the cells and across the membrane. Then potassium is highly mobile in the plants. Now the nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, all the three primary and nutrient elements, they are highly mobile into the plants, and potassium is involved in the synthesis and transport of the photosynthates to the plant reproductive parts and storage organs like the grains, fruits and tubers. Means the photosynthates, means the products generate through the photosynthesis. So these photosynthates are transported from the other parts to the reproductive parts of the plants by the potassium ions. And potassium increases the root growth and drought resistant. It also increases the root growth and drought resistant in the plants. Potassium maintains the cytoplasmic pH within the range of 7 to 8 by the neutralizing the organic ions and other compounds in the plants. Means the pH during the metabolic activities, various kinds of organic acids are developed by the plants, and these organic acid ions, they decrease the soil pH, and this soil pH is maintained by the potassium at the 7 to 8 by neutralizing these anions. And potassium is involved in the enzyme activation, means more than 60 enzymes are activated by the potassium, and this is important for the energy utilization, starch synthesis and metabolism and the respiration. Means these different enzymes, which are more than 60 enzymes, are activated by the potassium, and these enzymes are important for the energy utilization, starch synthesis and metabolism and respiration into the plants. Among the other essential functions of the potassium is essential to photosynthesis and energy relations through the ATP synthesis, production and activity of specific photosynthetic enzymes like RUBP carboxylase. Means potassium is essential for photosynthesis and energy relations, as it is involved in the ATP synthesis, production and activity of specific photosynthetic enzymes like RUBP, carboxylase, etc. Potassium also involved in the carbon dioxide absorption through the leaf stomates, maintain the electroneutrality in the plant tissue. Then K is involved in the activation and synthesis of protein forming nitrate reductase enzymes. Means it is also involved in the protein forming nitrate reductase enzyme. Now the other functions of potassium involve the increased root growth and disease resistance, maintain the turgidity, means it is involved in the water relations, as earlier we discussed, it is involved in the water relationship and opening and closing of the stomata. So it maintains the turgidity, reduce the water loss and wilting, prevent the energy loss, enhance the sugar and starch translocation, produces the grain rich in starch, increase the plant protein content, build the cellulose and reduce the losing of crops, and in the last it increase the disease resistance. Means other than the functions, the potassium is also involved in these activities, and which includes root growth and disease resistance, turgidity maintenance, reduce the water loss and wilting, prevent the energy loss, enhances the sugar and starch translocation, produces the grain which is rich in starch, increase the plant protein content, build the cellulose and reduce the losing of the crops, and in the last increase the disease resistance. So these are the functions of potassium. Now we will discuss about the deficiency symptoms of the potassium. So among the potassium deficiency, like the phosphorus and nitrogen and phosphorus, potassium is also mobile in the plants, and therefore the deficiency symptoms will first appear on the older leaves. Why the deficiency symptoms of the mobile nutrients is occur in the older leaves? Because these mobile nutrients are translocated to the upper leaves or younger leaves. That's why the deficiency symptoms will be occur on the older leaves mein. And among the deficiency symptoms, chlorosis along with the leaf margins is followed by the scorching and browning of the tips of the older leaves, which gradually progresses inwards. Means first of all, chlorosis due to potassium deficiency, chlorosis will occur on the leaf margins. This will be followed by the scorching and then browning of the tip of the leaf. Deficiency will start in all the primary nutrients like the nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Deficiency will start at the tip of the leaf, like you can see in the figure. Deficiency will start from here. Then in case of nitrogen, it is V-shape inwards. In case of phosphorus, purple color will develop on the edges, and in case of the potassium, browning will start on the margins of the leaves. So chlorosis along the leaf margins is followed by the scorching and browning of the tips of the older leaves, which gradually progresses the inwards, अंदर की तरफ बढ़ेगा. Weakening of the plant straw, which causes the losing of the plant. Means when potassium is deficient, the plant straw will become weak, so it will cause the losing in the plants. Now shrinking of the seeds and fruits is caused by the potassium deficiency. Seeds will become the shrink seeds and fruits will be damaged due to the potassium deficiency. High incidence of disease and pest. Higher plant pest and disease will occur to the plants in case of potassium deficiency. Then wilting of the plants and on dry and sunny days, because if potassium is deficient, your water relationship will be disturbed, and in that case wilting of the plant will occur. Water stress in the plant and loss of turgidity, means because it is involved in the stomata opening. So if potassium is deficient, turgidity will be lost. And browning spots on the leaf. Brown spots will occur on the leaf, like you can see in this figure. Like this, brown spots will occur. Yellow leaf edge will become the brown to yellow, and yellow veins. These are the veins. These veins will become the yellow or brown veins on the older leaves. Means these are the symptoms of potassium deficiency. So friends, ये था हमारा आज का वीडियो, जिसमें हमने आपके साथ में डिस्कस किया फंक्शंस एंड डेफिशिएंसी सिम्टम्स ऑफ द प्राइमरी न्यूट्रिएंट्स, यानी कि नाइट्रोजन, फॉस्फोरस एंड पोटेशियम के फंक्शंस एंड डेफिशिएंसी सिम्टम्स के बारे में हमने आपके साथ में डिस्कशन किया. तो आशा है दोस्तों ये वीडियो आपको पसंद आएगा. यदि ये वीडियो पसंद आए तो वीडियो को लाइक कीजिए, शेयर कीजिए और मेरे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कीजिए. तो मिलेंगे दोस्तों एक अगले वीडियो में, जो उपयोगी होगा एग्रीकल्चरल स्टूडेंट्स के लिए, रिसर्चर्स के लिए, एग्रीकल्चरल पॉलिसी मेकर्स के लिए एंड सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट फार्मर्स के लिए. तब तक के लिए गुड बाय, जय हिंद.